At night, time does something strange. Minutes feel longer. Moments stretch. And waiting becomes heavier than it does during the day. This isn't imagination, and it isn't a problem with your clock. Tonight, we'll calmly explore why your brain changes the way it experiences time in darkness, stillness, and quiet. We'll move through this in slow, simple sections, so you can follow the ideas, or let them drift, as the sense of time itself begins to soften. Because the way time feels at night reveals something important about how your mind actually works. Time feels objective. A minute is always 60 seconds. A clock doesn't change its speed at night. But your experience of time is not produced by clocks. It's produced by the brain. And the brain does not measure time directly. It constructs it. During the day, this construction is efficient. Attention is occupied. Events are frequent. Movement provides constant markers. The brain stitches these markers together and calls it time passing. At night, those markers disappear. Movement slows. Input fades. The environment becomes predictable. And when fewer events occur, the brain has less material to compress. So time feels longer. Not because more time has passed, but because less has happened to fill it. This is why a few quiet minutes at night can feel longer than an hour during the day. The brain is not malfunctioning. It is switching modes. Instead of tracking external change, it becomes aware of internal states. Thoughts, sensations, waiting. And this awareness stretches time. Once you understand this shift, nighttime time distortion stops feeling mysterious. It becomes a natural consequence of how attention, memory, and stillness interact. And that interaction is more subtle and more interesting than it first appears. And this leads to the first illusion of the night. Why darkness and reduced input immediately make time feel slower. Darkness changes more than visibility. It changes how the brain organizes experience. During the day, light constantly feeds the brain with information. Shadows move. Objects shift. People pass by. Even when nothing important is happening, small changes are everywhere. The brain uses these changes as reference points. Each shift becomes a marker. And when markers are frequent, time feels compressed. At night, those markers disappear. Darkness removes detail. The environment becomes visually stable. And stability creates a problem for the brain. Because the brain does not experience time as a continuous flow. It experiences time as a sequence of changes. When change slows down, time stretches. This is why a quiet, dark room feels different from a bright, active one. Not emotionally, structurally. The brain receives fewer updates. So it has less material to package into the feeling of time passing. Instead of tracking the world, attention turns inward. An internal experience unfolds at a slower rhythm. Another important factor is predictability. At night, the environment becomes more predictable. There are fewer surprises, fewer interruptions. During the day, unpredictability speeds up time. Each new event creates momentum. At night, predictability removes momentum. Without momentum, moments feel heavier, longer. This is not boredom. It is a shift in temporal density. The brain is now processing fewer external events per unit of time. So each moment occupies more mental space. There is also a sensory component. Vision dominates daytime perception. It provides rapid, high-resolution updates. In darkness, vision weakens. Other senses take over. Breathing becomes noticeable. Small sounds feel louder. Physical sensations come forward. These sensations change slowly. Much more slowly than visual input. So the internal clock adjusts. It synchronizes with slower signals. and time stretches to match them. This is why lying still in the dark can feel strangely expansive. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is pulling attention forward. The brain has no reason to compress experience. Instead, it allows moments to unfold fully. There is also a cognitive aspect. Darkness reduces decision-making. Fewer choices are required. When decision-making slows, subjective time slows as well. During the day, constant micro-decisions accelerate experience. At night, those demands vanish. The brain enters a low decision state. This state is efficient for recovery, but it alters time perception. Minutes no longer feel like transitions. They feel like states. This is why waiting feels different at night. Waiting during the day is surrounded by activity. Waiting at night is exposed. There is nothing to blend it into. So it stands alone. And when a moment stands alone, it feels longer. Importantly, this effect does not depend on mood. You can feel calm, and time still stretches. You can feel neutral, and minutes still expand. This is not anxiety creating the illusion. It is sensory structure. The brain is responding to reduced input, reduced change, and reduced demand. And this response is automatic. Once darkness arrives, the brain prepares for a different kind of processing. One that values internal continuity over external speed. This is the first step towards sleep. Not unconsciousness, but temporal slowing. Before the brain lets go of awareness, it lets go of urgency. And urgency is what normally keeps time moving quickly. Without urgency, time loosens. Moments stop pushing forward. They simply exist. But darkness alone is not enough to explain the full effect. Because even in a dark room, time can still move quickly if attention is engaged. Which brings us to the next layer of the illusion. But this isn't the strangest part. The way your attention moves, or stops moving, can stretch time even more than darkness itself. Time does not slow down because nothing is happening. It slows down because attention has nowhere to go. During the day, attention is constantly pulled forward. Tasks demand focus. Sounds interrupt. Movement redirects awareness. Attention jumps rapidly from one point to another. And each jump compresses time. The brain links these jumps together and experiences them as speed. At night, this pulling force disappears. There are no urgent tasks. No new inputs competing for awareness. No external structure guiding attention. So attention becomes still. And still attention changes time dramatically. When attention moves less, each moment receives more awareness. Not because you choose to focus on it, but because there is nothing else competing for that focus. This extra awareness stretches experience. A single minute now contains more sensation, more thought, more noticing. And when a minute contains more experience, it feels longer. This is why doing nothing feels slow. It is not the absence of activity that stretches time. It is the absence of attentional movement. The brain is no longer skipping over moments. It is staying with them. There is also an important difference between focused attention and open attention. During the day, attention is narrow. It locks onto specific targets. This narrow focus speeds up time. Hours can disappear when attention is tightly engaged. At night, attention becomes open. It is not directed. It spreads. Open attention does not compress experience. It allows everything to be noticed. Breathing, body weight, small sounds, passing thoughts. None of these change quickly. So time slows to match them. This shift is not something you control. It happens naturally when structure disappears. Which is why trying to occupy your mind at night can sometimes make time feel faster. A podcast, a story, a task. These give attention a direction. They reintroduce movement, and movement compresses time again. But when attention is left alone, it does what it is designed to do. It rests. And resting attention stretches time. Another important factor is monitoring. At night, people often monitor time itself. They check how long they've been lying awake. They estimate minutes. They calculate how much sleep remains. This act of monitoring pulls attention toward time. And when attention focuses on time, time expands. This creates a feedback loop. The more you check time, the slower it feels. Not because the night is longer, but because attention is locked onto duration. The brain does not experience time neutrally. Time becomes an object of attention, and anything that becomes an object of attention expands. This is why waiting feels so slow. Waiting has no movement, no goal, just awareness directed at passing time. At night, even without consciously waiting, the conditions are similar. Stillness, low stimulation, no clear endpoint. Attention rests on duration itself, and duration stretches. This is not a failure of the mind. It is a feature. The brain uses attentional density to estimate time. More density means more perceived time. Less density means less perceived time. At night, attentional density increases, because nothing pulls attention away. This explains why even calm nights can feel long. You don't need anxiety for time to slow down. Stillness is enough. Understanding this removes pressure. You don't need to fix time perception. You don't need to distract yourself endlessly. The stretching of time is part of the brain's transition into a different mode. A mode where urgency dissolves. And without urgency, the brain prepares for sleep. But attention is not acting alone, because attention and emotion are closely linked. And at night, emotions subtly change the way time feels. Not by speeding it up, but by giving it weight. And this leads to another layer of the illusion. How memory and emotion quietly make nighttime minutes feel heavier than daytime ones. Time does not exist in isolation. It is always shaped by memory and emotion. And at night, both of these quietly change how time feels. During the day, emotions are regulated by activity. Movement, interaction, and goals help smooth emotional intensity. Even difficult emotions are broken up by tasks. At night, that structure disappears. There is more emotional continuity. Feelings are not interrupted. And when emotion flows without interruption, time feels heavier. Not faster. Heavier. A moment with emotional weight occupies more mental space. It feels fuller. And fuller moments feel longer. This is why a single thought at night can seem to last far longer than it would during the day. It is not because the thought is stronger. It is because nothing interrupts it. Memory plays a role here as well. The brain estimates time partly by counting internal events. During the day, memory is filled with many small segments. Conversations, movements, changes of environment. At night, memory records fewer segments. But each one is richer, more continuous. So when the brain later evaluates how long something lasted, it relies on density, not count. Dense memories stretch time. Sparse memories compress it. At night, experiences are dense, even if they are simple. This creates the illusion that time is moving slowly in the moment. Interestingly, this effect can reverse when you look back. A night that felt endless can feel very short in memory, because few distinct events were recorded. This is one of the quiet paradoxes of time perception. Time can feel long while it's happening, and short when remembered. Emotion intensifies this effect. Emotion increases memory encoding. Even subtle emotional tones add weight to moments. At night, emotions are often quieter, but more continuous. There is less distraction, so they remain present longer. This does not mean emotions are stronger at night. It means they are less diluted. A small worry during the day is surrounded by noise. At night, it stands alone. And when something stands alone, it expands. This expansion is not distressing by nature. It becomes distressing when it is interpreted as a problem. When you think, why does this feel so long? Why can't time move faster? That interpretation adds tension. And tension adds emotional weight, which stretches time further. This creates a loop. Time feels slow, attention focuses on it, emotion adds weight, time feels even slower. Understanding this loop changes the experience. Not by stopping it, but by removing resistance. When emotional tone is allowed to exist without evaluation, it loses urgency. And urgency is what gives time its pressure. There is also an important role played by expectation. During the day, time is structured by expectation. Meetings end. Tasks finish. Events move forward. At night, expectation dissolves. There is no clear endpoint. Without an endpoint, the brain does not compress time. Compression requires direction. At night, time has no destination. It simply unfolds. This is why waiting feels especially long when you don't know how long it will last. Uncertainty stretches time. Night contains uncertainty by nature. You don't know when sleep will arrive. You don't know when thoughts will fade. So time remains open. And openness stretches experience. This openness is not a flaw. It is part of how the brain transitions towards sleep. Before letting go of awareness, the brain loosens its grip on structured time. It moves from sequence to flow, from measurement to presence. This shift can feel uncomfortable if you expect time to behave normally. But it becomes gentler when you understand that the change is temporary and purposeful. Because the brain cannot enter sleep while still tracking time precisely. Time must soften first. And as time softens, something else often appears. A sense of waiting. Not active waiting, but passive anticipation. And this anticipation has its own effect on time. And this leads to another illusion of the night. Why boredom, stillness, and waiting can make time feel almost motionless. Boredom and stillness are often confused. But the brain experiences them very differently. Boredom is not the absence of activity. It is the presence of unmet expectation. When you are bored, the brain is waiting for something to happen. A change. A stimulus. An endpoint. And when that expectation is not fulfilled, attention stays locked in place. This locked attention stretches time. Stillness, on the other hand, does not require expectation. It is simply the absence of demand. Nothing needs to happen next. At night, the brain often moves between these two states. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it rests. And the difference between waiting and resting completely changes how time feels. When you are waiting, time becomes an obstacle. Each minute feels like something you must get through. When you are resting, time becomes irrelevant. Minutes no longer need to pass. They simply exist. But in the early part of the night, the brain often hasn't let go of expectation yet. It expects sleep to arrive. It watches for signs. It monitors progress. This monitoring creates boredom-like conditions. Not because nothing is happening, but because something is expected to happen. An expectation stretches time. Stillness amplifies this effect. During the day, boredom is interrupted. A phone buzzes. A sound occurs. A task appears. At night, interruptions are rare. So boredom becomes continuous. And continuous boredom slows time dramatically. But this slowing is not permanent. As expectation fades, boredom transforms into stillness. And when that happens, time perception changes again. Instead of feeling slow, time becomes diffuse. Less noticeable. Less measurable. The same quiet room can produce two very different experiences. One feels endless. The other feels timeless. The difference is not the environment. It is whether attention is waiting for something. The brain is extremely sensitive to waiting. Waiting signals incompleteness. Incompleteness activates monitoring systems. Monitoring increases awareness of duration, which stretches time. This is why watching a pot boil feels slow, and watching a movie does not. The pot requires waiting. The movie removes it. At night, waiting often takes the form of waiting to fall asleep. This phrase alone creates a time trap. It sets an expectation with no fixed endpoint. And the brain responds by tracking time closely, which slows it. This is not a mistake. It is how the brain handles uncertainty. But it is not the only possible mode. As night continues, many people notice a shift. At some point, the effort to wait becomes tiring. Attention loosens. Expectation dissolves. And boredom fades into stillness. When this happens, time perception changes again. Minutes stop standing out. There is no sense of passing, only presence. This state is not sleep yet. It is the threshold before sleep. A place where time no longer matters enough to be measured. This is why sleep often arrives when you stop trying to make it arrive. Not because the brain gives up, but because expectation is released. Stillness without expectation is one of the strongest signals for sleep. It tells the brain that nothing needs to be monitored. Nothing is missing. Nothing is about to happen. And without anticipation, time loses its grip. However, there is one habit that often pulls the brain back into waiting. A small action that seems harmless, but has a powerful effect on time perception. And this leads to one of the strongest time distortions of all. What happens to your sense of time when you watch the clock at night? Watching the clock at night feels harmless. You turn your head. You check the time. You turn back. But this simple action changes how the brain experiences the entire night. A clock does not just show time. It defines it. The moment you look at the clock, time becomes an object. Something measurable. Something trackable. Something that can be evaluated. Before that moment, time was vague, loose, unstructured. After that moment, it becomes precise. And precision is the enemy of rest. When the brain sees a number, it immediately begins to calculate. How long you've been awake. How much time is left. What tomorrow will feel like. This calculation happens automatically. You don't choose it. The brain is designed to plan. And numbers invite planning. Once planning begins, alert systems activate. Not strongly. Subtly. Just enough to keep awareness sharp. And sharp awareness stretches time. The next few minutes feel longer than the previous ones. Not because time changed, but because the brain is now monitoring it. There is also an emotional layer. Clocks introduce judgment. Too late. Too early. Not enough time left. Even neutral thoughts carry evaluation. Evaluation adds weight to moments. And weight slows time. This is why checking the clock once often leads to checking it again. The brain is now oriented toward time. It is waiting for change. Waiting amplifies duration. Another effect of clock watching is memory segmentation. Each time you check the clock, you create a marker. A clear mental timestamp. The brain stores these markers. And later, when it reconstructs the experience, it counts them. More markers mean more perceived time. Ironically, watching the clock creates the very sensation people are trying to escape. The night feels longer because it has been divided more precisely. This does not mean clocks are harmful. During the day, clocks are useful. They provide structure. At night, structure becomes pressure. The brain does not need deadlines to sleep. It needs openness. There is also a subtle physiological response. Seeing the time can increase heart rate slightly. Not enough to notice, but enough to shift the nervous system toward readiness. Readiness brings focus. Focus brings clarity. Clarity brings duration. Again, this is not anxiety. It is design. The brain is doing what it does best when given information. The problem is not the clock. It is the context. At night, the brain is transitioning away from linear time. Clock watching pulls it back. It reminds the brain of sequence, of past and future, of before and after. Sleep requires either. Sleep exists outside measured time. This is why sleep often arrives when you stop knowing what time it is. When the numbers fade. When the sequence dissolves. Not because the brain is confused, but because it no longer needs to track progress. Understanding this changes the relationship with clock watching. It becomes clear that the clock is not helping you rest. It is helping you stay oriented. And orientation keeps time alive. The less orientation there is, the less time is felt. This is the quiet transition the brain is trying to make each night. From measurement to experience. From sequence to flow. From knowing what time it is to no longer needing to know at all. And when that need disappears, something else often disappears with it. The feeling that time is moving too slowly. And this brings us to the final shift of the night. How the brain slowly lets go of time altogether just before sleep arrives. Before sleep arrives, something subtle happens to the experience of time. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Time doesn't stop. It simply becomes less important. As the night deepens, the brain gradually loosens its grip on sequence. Earlier, moments felt long. Then they felt heavy. Now they begin to blur. This is not because the brain is shutting down. It is because time tracking is no longer useful. Time perception requires effort. The brain must monitor change, compare moments, update internal markers. As sleep approaches, the brain reduces this effort. Not all at once. In layers. The first thing to soften is order. Thoughts stop following a clear sequence. They no longer point forward. They drift sideways. Images replace sentences. Sensations replace ideas. Without sequence, time loses structure. Minutes are no longer distinct. They stop standing apart. This is one reason people often lose track of when they fell asleep. There is no clear boundary. Just a gradual fading of time awareness. Another change involves memory encoding. As the brain prepares for sleep, it records less. Events are no longer stamped clearly. Without memory markers, time cannot be reconstructed. And when time cannot be reconstructed, it is no longer experienced as duration. This is why the final moments before sleep often feel timeless. Not long. Not short. Just undefined. There is also a shift in attention. Earlier in the night, attention rested on time. Then it rested on waiting. Now it begins to withdraw entirely. Attention becomes diffuse. It no longer settles on any single object for long. This diffusion removes the final support for time perception. Time requires focus. Without focus, it dissolves. Importantly, this process cannot be forced. Trying to let go of time keeps attention engaged. It becomes another task. And tasks keep time alive. Letting go happens indirectly. When interest fades. when effort stops, when there is nothing left to monitor. This is why sleep often arrives when you are no longer thinking about sleep. Not because the brain gives up, but because it completes the transition from active awareness to passive presence to absence of tracking. This transition is fragile only if observed too closely. Monitoring it pulls the brain back. But when it unfolds unnoticed, it continues smoothly. Time loosens. Awareness narrows. And eventually, even the sense of being aware fades. This is not loss. It is a shift. The brain has done this countless times before. Every night follows the same arc. Urgency fades. Attention softens. Time dissolves. Sleep does not arrive by command. It arrives when time is no longer being measured. When there is no before and no after. Only the moment, and then not even that. And once this happens, nothing more is required. The brain continues on its own. And when time is no longer being tracked, there is nothing left to wait for. As the night continues, there is no need to follow the minutes. You don't need to know how much time has passed. You don't need to know what comes next. The brain has already begun to release its hold on sequence. Moments soften. Boundaries blur. Awareness becomes less precise. Time no longer needs to move forward. It simply fades into experience. Thoughts may still appear, but they no longer carry direction. Sensations come and go without urgency. There is no waiting here. No measuring. No before or after. Just a quiet unfolding that does not need to be understood. If awareness drifts, that's natural. If the sense of time disappears, that's natural too. Nothing is being missed. The night continues whether you follow it or not. And when attention is no longer holding the moment in place, there is nothing left to keep you awake. You can remain here for a while, or you can let the moment pass. Both are enough.